guys, welcome back to Loopin' About podcast. I'm Alicia, also known as AK47, and you can also find me on Instagram as lupinehook. And I record from Seattle, Washington, which is up in the northwest corner of the continental US, and I live in Seattle. It's been just beautiful. I feel like fall is in the air. Its temperatures are starting to be more comfortable. So we're staying in the high 60s, low 70s. It's been really great. It means we've been out and about climbing. We've been doing more things outside. Yeah, it's just been wonderful. So in the last couple of weeks, we have been climbing. Kind of trying to push ourselves into a good space before we go in for our month-long climbing trip, which is going to be more of a staycation. So we're going to leave the house on Mondays, go out to the crag, stay near or around that area for 5 days in our van, and then come back on the weekends. Regroup, shower, restock, and then head out again on the Monday. So we've been trying to explore a few locations near our house so that we kind of have an idea of where things are, which walls we want to work on, that kind of, just kind of familiarizing ourselves with the location so we don't lose a day searching for a location. And so we went out to a new area. I've been there once, and it was so long ago. So it's been 10 years. I've gone once. I don't even remember who I went with. I thought I went with Sean. Sean says that he'd never been here before. So new to us. Usually the first day at a location, you're just kind of trying to familiarize yourself, taking the descriptions, which are verbal descriptions of lines, and trying to find that somewhere, right? Because a lot of things in this sport are kind of vague, just to keep the numbers down of people frequenting places. So a lot of the time, you're really not given much direction. Like, follow a trail until you see stuff on the right side, and then there's a picnic table, right? So there's no picnic table. This must have been written a long time ago. It took us a little bit to find where we were. Sean isn't really good at taking verbal description and finding where things are. So that's kind of my territory. So in time, we discovered we were at the fourth location on the trail. Where the first one happened and the first three happened, I have no idea. So I think from now on, we're probably going to enter the same spot and then just backtrack along the wall. So we arrive, and we are looking at a wall that is at least a solid grade higher than what we have been doing. But it looks really awesome. I look at Sean and I was like, well, we know where we are. So that kind of gives me some confidence that, yay, we found a wall, right? And we heard other people down the line, so we didn't want to interrupt. You don't want to share a wall when it's midweek and you don't have to share a wall. It's nice to just spread out, right? And not bother anybody else's party of climbing. So I look at Sean and I say, well, this is the natural next step for us, is to get into 10Bs, right? Or 10As. And it looks fun, right? It looked fun to me. It looked fun to Sean. And we thought, let's just do it, right? What's the worst that can happen? Famous last words. So the first couple hours, it's just me on the line. And I got to a place on the route where there was a good no hands rest, where I could stand comfortably, just my feet on the wall, my hands could be at my side, I could rest, we could talk. We could talk about what what I'm trying, I'd go up and I'd come down, I'd go up and I'd come down, and I'd go up and come down, because we lead climb. So you plant the rope at the stations, which are called bolts. You put in a piece of pro, which is quick draws in this instance, and that's 2 carabiners that are attached with webbing. It's not webbing, I know. But to make this simple, it's a sewn strap between 2 carabiners. So you clip one into the bolt, the other one holds your rope. And then you climb up to the next bolt, set your quick draw, put the rope in, climb up to the next one. Lead climbing, and I take the first lead. And I get up there and I realize, ooh, there's a good crux, difficult part, between the second and third bolts. There was a very easy place for me to find a rest. So for about 2 hours, I'm hanging out on the rock. My ankles are getting kind of tired because most of it is I'm standing on my toes at a landing area, well, on a ledge, a bigger ledge, where I could have a rest for my arms. So I'd come down to this rest location, climb up, not get the bolt, come down, climb up, still can't reach the bolt, climb down. So I just don't feel like I have a good hand purchase to make that clip. So I'm going up and down and up and down. Poor Sean, he's on the ground. He's my safety, right? So he's in charge of the rope, and when I take a rest, I let him know, okay, I'm not moving for a while, I'll let you know when I move again. Hours. Because I wanted to on-site it. And this was my own stubbornness. It's not necessary. It's just a fun game that climbers play, right? Is I'm coming up to this fresh line. I'm going to lead it without dangling from a bolt or a quick draw that's through the bolt, and have a clean send. So I'm looking for a clean send. And totally doable. Like in my head, I'm like, it's just a V0. I climb harder, I boulder harder than this, right? And I think that got in my way, right? I'm trying to find holds that seem like the grade I'm looking at, right? So the whole time I'm thinking, I'm making this harder than it is. I just need to find the holds that are like that were intended for this line. It's a V0. Like that's all that was going in my head. These aren't V0 holds. I must not be seeing something. I don't see any feet. Nothing large enough that would correspond with this grade, right? Like I was stuck in the grade jargon, right? Like in my brain, this has got to be easier. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making this harder, so I must be doing the route wrong. I must be too far to the right. Okay, then let's try going to the left. Well, maybe I'm centered on the rock. Like, after 2 hours of this, I say, okay, you go for the third bolt to Sean. So he lowers me down. He climbs up past the second bolt, is in the same predicament. Wow, all of a sudden there's a crux, and the crux isn't supposed to happen until after the fourth bolt, and we're not even at the third bolt, right? So we're overthinking it. He stays up there for a while, comes down, I go back up, I clip it. I got to the third bolt with Sean's help because he found some things that I didn't see, but he couldn't reach it. And I've got, I want to say I have 7 inches on him. With my arm span and my height difference between my husband and I it's significant, right? So I clipped the third bolt, and then I started doing the moves towards the fourth bolt. Nope, I'm not seeing that. Oh, that's gonna be a tough move, right? Like that's a Burley move. That's a Sean move. So I come down, send him up. He works through the third bolt, and he's trying to see where he would want to make the clip. Because as I said, I have a 7-inch difference between him and I. So where I could safely clip into the bolt, he couldn't even reach it. And so he actually has to get eye level with the bolt to have good holds enough to make the clip. And he looks at me and he says, I don't think I could make this clip if it wasn't for you out here. So he goes up to the fourth bolt and realizes, ooh, this is going to be burly. And so we're investigating feet. We're trying to find better ones. The handholds are enormous, but the feet are nowhere to be found. So he comes down. We had broken for lunch, realized we didn't bring utensils for the salad that I had prepared for the trip. We had granola bars. We had lots of water. That plays into the scenario. I haven't eaten a meal. I'm hydrated. We're good on that front. But I'm kind of testy for not having the protein that I plan to have. I was frustrated at the line. I was already physically tired. I was mentally fatigued. I tried to get on even a lower grade and said, no, this isn't going to work out. And so Sean and I are sitting there snacking again, found another granola bar and some, nuts and snacks that we bring. I go back up and I get to below the third bolt and I tell him, I am really tired. At this point, we've been on the rock for 4 hours. Or we've been at the crag for 4 hours. So, we've done our time, right? I look at him and I said, I really don't want to leave our quick draw behind, right? Because we haven't made it to the top, so we can't clean the route. We'll always be leaving one quick draw on the wall. We could clean up everything else, but we would leave a piece of probe. And it's just not a fun thing to do, right? It's, all right, if you look at it, it's a $20 piece of equipment. $20 doesn't hurt anything, but it's the principle, right? I don't want to leave a draw behind. So I look at him, we look at where we're at. He looks at me and he says, I'll go up and clean the route and I'll just down climb and I'll bring the quick draw back. I said, okay, I know you don't want to because you can't even reach that bolt that I put in, right? The last bolt that was set, I put in. And even he's like, to get to a safe place for me to clip, it's higher than I want it to be, right? That requires more down climbing between bolts. So he goes up there and he's like, nope, I think I can get the next bolt. And I said, if you can get the next bolt, and this was probably in my head, I can finish this line. In his head, he was thinking the same thing. All I have to do is bolt this next one, and Alicia will get determined and just finish it. Which would have been fine. Fresh arms, fresh go. He got the fourth bolt, and he didn't want to make the moves to go up. And I said, okay, cool. He comes down. It's like, I'll retrieve it. So I go up there and kind of overdo it. Finish the line. Got to the top. I think a lot of things are wrapped up in this, right? I've mentioned them. Hadn't eaten lunch. Tired, physically and mentally. Kind of upset at this line, right? Because it wasn't what I expected. I made it easy in my head and then, yeah, got totally bamboozled by the line. And when I got to the anchors, it all fell apart. I lost my cool. I was not in a good space. Like, in such a bad space, Sean says, I'm going to keep you on belay, even though I know you've set your personal anchor. But I feel like you need to calm down, find your breathing regimen that'll calm you down, and then reassess your situation. Because at the anchor, you put in 2 lines of safety that goes down to your belayer, and then you set your own anchor before you even mess with the system at hand, right? Because you have to take the rope out of, you get off belay, you string your rope through the anchors and lower yourself down. In my case, I always rappel, and it's the best practice is to rappel. Less wear and tear on the anchors. So I'm up there hyperventilating, right? Because I have lost control of everything. Like, I'm mad, I'm hungry, I'm hangry, I'm pissed at the light. Like, it all just came out. Lost my cool. Lost it. This is so not like me. Sean's like, this doesn't make me feel comfortable. He can't even see me because what I've climbed has climbed over the top, right? And so he can't even see what I'm dealing with at the anchors. I'm pissed that there's not a nice belay station up there. My ankles are tired. I'm in pain. Did not realize how much pain I was in at that point. So, calm myself down. We get down. I apologize to the other parties that could have heard me just like losing my shit up there. And we pack up. I ask Sean if he wants to finish the line. He's like, nope. I didn't even want to get the last bolt. So no, I'm good. Let's go. The next morning, I am in a lot of pain. Pain I've had before. It feels like a pinched nerve. And I realized, no, that's not a pinched nerve. I know what this is. So I call my chiropractor. I have a chiropractor of 18 years. And when I call, she just makes room for me because she knows that the pain is out of comfort for me. And I have a really high tolerance of pain. So I call her. Not an hour goes by. Why don't you come in this afternoon at 3? We'll see you this afternoon. I said, cool. So Sean comes with me. I told him not to, but he comes with me just to be a companion in the car. Get there. Dislocated shoulder blade. This is the 3rd time it's happened. I'm in a lot of pain. And now that there's a reason for the pain, I notice the pain even more, right? Like, I can compartmentalize a lot of things, but putting a name to the pain, I was in a lot of pain. So I'm talking to her, and she does all the adjustments. There's other things in my back that should have been bothering me long before this would have brought me in. So now she's saying, there's no knitting, there's no nothing for the next 3 days. I need you to rest. I need you to have the best posture you've had in your life. And that's going to help ease, your ailments. I need you to be icing every 2 hours for 20 minutes in 3 locations on your back because you have some swelling going on here and I don't know how long it's been going on. And you're not feeling the pain of it, so there's something wrong. Okay, so I'm pretty much bed rest, right? And icing my entire back every 2 hours for a couple days. I'm feeling a little better now. I was hoping that this time away from knitting and everything else would inspire me to have some kind of mojo when I come back. And no, my tanks are empty. I did finish a sweater before I got injured, so that was good. Oh man, yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days without me, guys. So let's get into it. Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's once you dislocate something, you're gonna dislocate it forever. I think the first time I had this injury, it was 2007. And then I got it again a couple years ago. Probably just 2 years ago. And then last week. The pain is every time. You would think you could brace yourself for this kind of thing. No, you can't. It's horrible. But I'm fine. I don't need surgery yet, I don't think. But I'm sure it's gonna be one of those things. So it's not shoulder, right? It's not this part of your shoulder. It's on your back. It's your shoulder blade pops out of where it should be. Does not feel good. But there was a combination of things going on that required me to stop doing all the things. It was not that knitting was gonna cause pain. No. I could have knit if I wanted to. It wasn't going to re-injure me. It was not the injury. Climbing was my injury. This injury is caused by, I guess, straining overhead, right? So anytime you pull down from overhead, this is a common injury. So it's a common climbing injury. That's why I've done it before, done it lots of times. And climbing should be done below the waist, right? So your legs should be doing most of the work. When I got mad at the line and decided I was going to top this thing out no matter what, that determination caused my injury. So in the moment, I didn't even feel it. I didn't even know it happened. Didn't know it happened until the next morning when I woke up in just shooting pain. So I couldn't even tell you when it happened. I mean, I have an idea of when it happened because I was there in the moment being pissed. But yeah, adrenaline was on my side for many hours after that. So let's talk about some FOs. Let's talk about some happy news that happened the last 2 weeks. I finished the Pike Stout Poncho by Thea Coleman. And it is a lovely sweater. I posted it on Instagram, 4 pictures, so you can see like all the glamour shots, right? Love it. Love it to pieces. So here we go. That's the front. It's got a turtleneck. A really tall one. You can eliminate this. This is where you start. It's top down. Start from this end and just down. But you can reduce it. You go straight into raglan increases for this. There's some short rows, so the back is different from the front, and that is the back. You get some extra rows before you get into the ribbing, and that's the front. Isn't that gorgeous? There's 3 cable charts, but the side cables are just directionally different, right? So there's really only 2 cable charts. At no time did I memorize the cable. I don't know if it was just because I was doing 10 rows a day for a long time. And when the cable repeats 8 lines, I wasn't going to retain it, right? I wasn't doing it enough to get it in my brain. This is supposed to be reverse stockinette in between the sleeves, and the sleeves are stockinette. I changed that. So I made it so it's reverse stockinette just on the outside of the cables for 4 stitches. So you have to grow quite a bit from the start until you get 4 stitches of purl. So I did all the increases for purl up until that point, but after that it was all increases in stockinette because my purl increases were just causing a hole and I didn't like it. So I decided, well, it's my sweater, I can do whatever I want. So I did. I changed that to stockinette. So you can see that those increases are knit for both front and sleeves. I increased, after the increases were done, I knit straight for 2 more inches, which says in the book you have to knit to a certain point, right? And that was past your elbow. So I knit an extra 2 inches to get past my elbow. And then I didn't do any changes for the front and back short row sections. So it makes a little scoop in the front. But I did add length to the arms because I have really long arms. So I added 3 inches to each sleeve. So really on the modification front, I didn't change too much. Most of it was just for my own preference, right? Which was making it stockinette. Really pleased with it. It used way less yarn than it said it was going to, and I added length. You heard me say I added 2 inches in my body, so that's a lot. And then 3 inches for each sleeve. That's a lot of yarn that I added for it to fit me. So I had 5.5 skeins of Cascade 220. I knit the small. There's only 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. I usually make the medium. When I make sweaters for myself, I usually knit medium. But this was going to have something like 12 inches of positive ease, and I don't like 12 inches of positive ease. So I modified that, and I will put up a finished picture here so that you can see what kind of ease I had. It is roomy for me. I think it ended up with 6 or 7 inches of positive ease, as stated in the pattern. So I'm really pleased with this sweater. There's something psychological about me in a poncho. I feel very constricted not having arms in their own sleeves, right? It makes me feel really calm and collected. And I think I could just be the introverted self I like to be from time to time when I wear this, and it would give me lots of comfort. It's like one of those comfort blankets, you know, those weighted blankets that people put on. That's what I feel like when I wear ponchos. I noticed it with that red, with that Pool and Conquer I finished last year. I feel like so constricted. Just in a little hug. So yeah, this is my little hug of a sweater. I love it. I use Cascade 220, which is a workhorse. Oh my gosh. Peruvian wool, and it's distributed here in Seattle. I love it. 8400 is the colorway. Last time I said 4800, and I was wrong. It's 8400, and it's a charcoal color. Dark gray. I love it. It's rustic, but on the soft side of rustic yarns. It itches for a little bit, and then you don't even notice it. It's soft to the touch, and once you wash it, it softens up quite a bit too. But it's not rough to work with. It is rustic. It's not superwash, but nothing like some yarns I will show you on what other things I've been working on. I don't think I've talked about many things that I have frogged on this podcast, but I have frogged my oldest whip. It has to be my oldest whip. I started a sock toe up in early 2015, and I was going to my first retreat, and that was Zombie Apocalypse 2015. It was my first retreat. It was in Minnesota, and I was going to take a class where I needed a toe up sock because it was going to be a heel class for the OMG heel, which is by Megan Williams pattern. Is a Megan Williams pattern. I started Stitch Surfers in some leftovers that I had from a cowl that I really like to wear, that you've seen the matchmaker so many times on this program. And it's made out of these 2 colorways. This is Oogie Boogie, and that was a penguin soup. That is a penguin soup yarn. I got 150 gram skeins out of these 2, and I used 105 grams of each of these skeins for the matchmaker. So I had 45 grams left over. And I thought, I could make a sock as long as I use both of them, right? And lo and behold, I had something in my queue, which was the Stitch Surfer socks, and so I cast them on. Really enjoyed the knitting of those socks. I put in the heel during the class. Hated the heel. It was a horrible fit. So I pulled it out and I thought, oh, I'll get to this sock again. I never went back to it. And then I thought, well, maybe it's because I don't like toe-up socks. But over time, I'm probably going to like toe-up socks. It's just right now, I like top down with my heels flapping gusset. It'll be all good. No. It's been 3 years. It's not going to happen. If it was going to happen, it was going to happen already. So I decided I'm pulling them out. So I did. So I frogged something, and I can't be more pleased that they are now gone because I haven't seen this bag in forever. So this is the half-finished objects before finished objects. I guess you'd call it half objects, but half-finished. And this is a Stockinette Zombies, old Stockinette Zombies logo. I think that was their original one. This was made by the Silver Shed, USA, and the interior is chevrons. I picked everything about this bag years and years and years ago, and this was the first project I put in it. So I have not seen this bag in 3 years. Actually, I see it all the time, and every time I looked at it, I'm thinking, I'm never going to touch those socks. I'm never going to touch those socks. I don't even remember where I was in the pattern. I'm never going to touch those socks. So I finally just bit the bullet, pulled it out. And I'm stoked. So this is actually my test for my sock. So right now I'm testing before testing on this sock, and when the testing actually goes out, I'm going to be using different yarn from my yarn sponsor, and that's going to be the main sock in the pattern that you'll see the most. I'm so excited. So I'm getting to that. I had an epiphany this morning. I work out a lot of things in my dreams, and I figured something out in my dream, woke up this morning, I'm going to finish that pattern today. So that was a frog and a finished object. So we might as well talk about some whips that I have going on. I have a couple. So let's start off with one that you've seen before, and that's my shawl. And I'm doing a knit along that's called the Summer Shawl Shenanigans Knit Along, and that's hosted by Amanda of Atlas Knits. Hi, Amanda. I'm loving your shawl. I'm loving your shawl. Love, love, love. Last you saw, I was not even 25%. I was about to come up to 25%, I think. And I left a little marker in so you could see the progress. So yeah, lots. I finished the cabling, and I'm into the lace right now. There's a garter section in here, a lace, and then there's going to be one more garter section, and then a bind off. So I'm getting close. This is Wildfire Blaze, and I'm using the Turt colorway in Pashmina by Madeline Tosh. It is gorgeous. It's a beautiful red that's overdyed with black. I have come to the realization that my two skeins were different. I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to take some good pictures of it once it's blocked. The changing of skeins occurred right after the garter. So started in on the lace in the new skein. And so I am hoping that it will be less noticeable because it's a texture change along with this color change, which is significant to me. I'm hoping it's going to be less abrasive when it's done and I've blocked it and I take a better look at it. I don't even know if it's coming up in this photo, but I know it happened. I can see the difference in tones between the two skeins. If I was making this for someone in particular, and when it's done, I need to have a conversation with her and see what she thinks of it. It is a fellow knitter, and I know some things would not even be noticed by the layman in the world, but this is not going to a muggle, right? This is going to someone who does knit. And I know this is a colorway she will love and adore. But I think it will also be obvious to me that it changed. So I need to talk to her because I've been thinking about her through this entire knit, and just the thought of making this for her has been just a wonderful drive to help me get through this knit on needles that I don't like. So I really want it to go to my intended person, but it's just another opportunity to say, you know, when you're using kettle dyed yarn, you really should alternate skeins throughout. And I didn't. So let this be a warning to you guys. It's a hassle. It's a huge hassle. It's something I didn't want to do, clearly, because if I didn't care about it, I would have just done it and alternated it every other row or every 2 rows, and it would have been no big deal at this point. But because it didn't, there is a dye lot change, and it's noticeable. I don't want it to detract from the knitting, and that's my concern, right? I don't want it to be this glaring thing that makes you notice the problem rather than seeing the whole beautiful shawl. That's my dilemma at present. I have loads of yarn, right? The 75% mark happened, or the 50% mark happened well before the garter. So I was stoked because I could get through the garter section with the first skein of yarn. So I have plenty of yarn. I was always going to have to break into that second skein, so I could have alternated the entire time. But I didn't. Oh well. But that's the progress. I love it. I just took out a row because, well, the first day back to knitting after my injury, I worked on this. And I put 5 rows in. And I looked at it later on, sitting there, starting a new row, and I was like, wow, it's not reading like it should, that I shouldn't hit that purl stitch yet. So I ripped a whole row out to find I was reading the wrong row. And I took out a perfect row. 363 stitches taken out. So I put that down for a little while. And I started a new project. And that is out of Debbie Bliss. And this is a tweed. I think it's called Chunky Tweed. The Chunky Donegal tweed. It is a discontinued yarn. And it's a color number that is appearing on the screen because I don't know what it is. But tweed, it's got flecks of green and bright red and yellow and some purples in there. I don't know if it'll show all of its goodness, but it is lovely. And it's kind of on the brown side of red. Yeah. It's really pretty. And I'm doing another knit along with Joji Locatelli's group, and that is JFK. I remember it because I think John F. Kennedy, but it's the Joji Fall Knit Along. There we go. And I'm doing lemongrass. You guys seen that one before? It's got a panel of cables down the front. It's got a little bit of a turtleneck. And I don't know if it's got a full turtleneck, but most people do a smaller, like, curled over turtleneck. And it's in the round until you drop off sleeves, and then it's a front panel and a back panel. And then there's buttons down the side, which some people are just sewing closed. It's really pretty. And it's out of Aran chunky weight yarn. Well, I had 1,000 yards of some chunky weight yarn, and I cast on this lemongrass. So here's the start of the cable. It's called a basket weave cable. It's really pretty, super simple. It's an 8-row pattern, and you have 2 of those rows are cables. Super simple. And it's over like just a patch of stitches, right? So it's just gonna go down the front panel. No back panel, so it's not gonna be like the Pike Stout poncho where you have to maintain cables on front and back, just one. And when I go to break for sleeves, I'm gonna do the sleeves first. And then I can play yarn chicken. It's me, guys. I'm gonna play yarn chicken. It's just gonna happen. And use as much as I can to get length on the front and back panels. Because this is for a friend of mine, Lisa, and she would like to add length to the front and back panels. So in order to do that, I need to finish the sleeves so that I can just say, okay, this half of the yarn that's left is going for the front, and this half of the yarn that's left is going for the back. So I am very excited at how quickly this is going. I'm not knitting very much now that I'm back from my 3-day hiatus of nothing. But this was a few hours of knitting, maybe 2. And I've already done 1 repeat of the basket weave. And yeah, so it's top down, if you couldn't have imagined already. And that's a pretty good neck. I don't know what happens after. There's a turtleneck of some sort, but I don't know if you're reducing a bunch. I don't know. Haven't looked into it. That's so not like me. Usually I read the pattern 17 times before I even cast on, so that I kind of know where the direction is going, and I can anticipate what's coming, and I can make modifications. Maybe that's why I modify so much, is because I let it mill around in my head for so long before I even start it, and I just think of opportunities to change things. So maybe this one will just be by the book. I really have no inkling to knit. Knitting mojo is completely dead. So this was kind of nice. I'm not excited about it. I should be. It's going quickly. This is fulled yarn. Have you guys used fulled yarn before? So it's felted. There's some twist in there, but it's a felted strand. It kind of feels like I'm wrestling with it. I feel like I can talk at length about this kind of thing because this is discontinued, so I'm not really killing any of their sales by saying I don't really enjoy using this yarn. And I don't know if it's because it's on 10 1/2, and that's what it calls for. The sweater called for a US 10, but this yarn asked for a 10 1/2. So I'm using what the yarn is asking for. And I'm not adjusting the size. I'm making the medium. I was intending to make the medium anyway. But I think the person I'm making for won't mind if it's a little bit bigger. She won't mind the extra space. And I feel like it's a very stiff fabric. Super, it doesn't want to conform. Right, it's pretty stiff. Can't see through it, but I'm hoping it'll relax. Have you guys used fulled yarn before and know what happens when it gets washed? I just don't want to make her armor. And I guess if it becomes armor, I'll keep it and I'll knit her another one. Because it was seriously, this is going to go by really fast, and I'm not even going to be bothered by the knitting. It's going to be like a big hat. Only it's going to look like a sweater when it's done. But I'm not keen on the yarn. It doesn't have a lot of give. You know, wool has like a built-in elasticity that knitters enjoy. This kind of feels like I'm working with cotton or linen. There's really no give to it. And I feel like that's why my gauge feels kind of tight. So I'm aware of how tight it feels, and I'm trying to loosen it up gradually as I go. And hopefully get to a nice, happy gauge soon. I think I'm there. I think I'm getting there. So that was Lemongrass by Hohi Locatelli. I I mentioned a sweater on the last podcast, and I'm putting the name of it up right here because I can't even picture it in my head to even sound it out and, prove that I don't know how to say it. But it starts with an S, and there's a K and a J and L's in it. I started that one, the one with the trees. You know what I'm talking about? I tried it on at Tolt's a couple weeks ago. Well, my friend that I went to Tolt with, Jessica, she had already purchased Lopi. Well, I told her, I really want to make that sweater. Now that I know it fits, I need that sweater in my life. She's like, I already have the yarn, but I don't need to cast it on yet. I said, okay, that's cool. Well, I told you we were playing that bingo at the Nifty Knitter. So that Tuesday when we went out there, I might have bought a stack of yarn from the Nifty Knitter. So this is the same place that I turned in a sample for. So I had a coupon for the sample knitting I did. And they had this bingo going on. So I was going to get extra stars for this purchase. And so I got a sweater's quantity of yarn. And these are the colors I'm going to be working with. Let me turn it so you can see the label. So this is Harrisville Designs. I don't think you can see this purple. I don't think it's catching. It's purple and it's beautiful. I don't think it's showing. I'm going to have to put up a still so you can see this beautiful purple. So charcoal is going to be the main color. I've already got 2 skeins balled up and caked, ready to go. It's bottom up, you start with the sleeves, then you make the body, and then I'm going to add purple, and then I'm going to add cream. It's a kind of a gray. This one is called Silver Mist. This one is called Aubergine. Gosh, I really want that purple to show. And Ebony is the colorway for this. So Harrisville Designs at Nifty Knitter, they have worsted and they have fingering weight. This is the worsted weight. You get 200 yards for the 100 gram skein, and it's 100% pure virgin wool. It's spun in the US, and it's from New Hampshire. So yeah. This is something you wouldn't find here in the Northwest. So I was super excited to see their display. Their display is gorgeous. It's on like huge pegboard that actually looks like one of those sandwich signs that people who are sandwich, signs for things. It's huge. It's taller than me. One side is worsted, the other side is fingering, and oh, colors. Oh my gosh, this purple. I'm hoping there's enough contrast between the purple and the black, but I don't really care. Just as long as there's purple in there. It required, for my size, I'm doing the 35.5-inch bust. For my size, it needed 4 skeins of your main color, 1 skein of your middle contrast, and 1 skein of your light contrast. This one's going to be used the least. And I'm thinking after this is done, I can make a hat. Out of those guys. And the purple will be the contrast, and the white will or the gray will be the body of the hat. So I am super excited. You want to see what I've started? So as I said before, it is bottom up. This is a construction that I don't like. I don't like. And so I thought about, well, maybe I could do a provisional cast on, and then at the end, I can get the length I want once it's on, and I can see where it really is, lengthwise. Because I feel like you do bottom up, and do you really know where it ends from bottom up and where you're going to connect your arms? Like, is that really true? Like, is it like an inch below your I don't know. And I hate that I don't know. So I've thought about when I start the body to do a provisional cast on and then come back at the end and do the final length. Have you guys done this as a technique to make sure that it's long enough? Well, I started on the sleeves. It's not a full sleeve, guys. Don't be scared. I know, I don't have much going right now. This is on the US 6, so the ribbing is done on a US 6, and then the rest of the sweater is on a US 8. And I wanted to get the US 6 out of the way because it hurt so much. It's a rustic yarn. I don't know if you can see. It's bitey, and it's gonna be itchy until I wash it, probably. And it's stiff. It feels stiff. I didn't enjoy it at US 6 gauge. So knowing that I didn't like it and concerned that, your gauge changes, given day, your gauge could change, right? So I decided to cast on the same day, on the same needles for both of these. So I got the 2 ribbing pieces done my first day. This was before my injury. And then after I did a few rows on the shawl, I went to this sleeve and I put in the US 8s. So much better knitting on the 8s. So I think I found the gauge that I like with the yarn. I don't know. But the US 8 feels a whole lot better than the US 6. And it's making a beautiful gauge. I don't know if you can see it, it's black. I'll show you one ply. So it's making a good gauge. Kind of open. It's gonna be comfy. And I've started. Now, I think my first increase is supposed to happen right now, but I think I'm going to go a few more inches before I start increasing. Because again, I'm kind of dainty in the forearm area. But I'm going to increase to the proper space, but I usually increase about 3 inches for my arms, more than most patterns call. And I like to have my sweater down to about there, right? The little notch in your thumb. I like it to be about that length. So because of that, and that's probably not, I don't know what the standard is. Maybe they say it's supposed to be down here. I don't know. But I don't like there. I like it up here. So I don't know what the standard is for patterns, but that's where I like to finish mine. Mostly because I'm really tall and my whole life nothing fits long sleeve. And I'm always pulling things down. I'm always trying to cover my wrists, right? So when I'm making for myself and I can make it the length I've always wanted and fit, I'm gonna do it. If it requires more yarn, fine. I'm never gonna have to pull these down. Like the thought of never having to pull my sleeves down ever again, it's just wonderful. Been wearing men's clothing my whole life because they're long enough for my arms. And it's nice to be able to make things that fit me. That's why we do this, right? It's because we can make the perfect fit for whatever we make ourselves. Makes me so happy. So yeah, I'm in ebony happiness right now. I am coming into winter, so I really want to get through the ebony section before it starts getting shorter days out here. But that is my current stuff, my current adventures. I've had some really happy mail. I've had my more stars come in. I asked for no pink. I said I hate pink to my core. And so everybody on my team has been very gracious for that request. And she made sure she found every single purple she could put in here. So the things that kind of look pink, that's purple. And it is lovely. And she made this tiny little one too. So I got 2 stars from that partner. Isn't that gorgeous? And then this is the most recent, all blue. I love it. In my current Whop It, Swap It swap that I'm doing, I again mentioned I don't like pink. Do you know there aren't a lot of us out there? There's one other person on my team that also has a hatred for pink. She's like, you know, when you start doing swaps, you're going to have to start buying pink because other people love it. I was like, oh, it's the worst. So yeah, I did have to buy some pink. Swaps. I sent out my stars. They're in the mail. They haven't been received yet, but they're in the mail. And I feel really good about that. But my next swap is the Whop It bucket swap, where you make a Whop It, which is a little bucket bag and has a little handle, and you make one little sewing thing for your partner. And since I saw you last, there's been a fabric pull deadline. And so I went out and bought fabric for my partner. Now I got hurt last Wednesday, and my intention was to go sewing on Saturday. Well, on Thursday I was told 3 days of nothing, so I had to cancel my Saturday. And Friday was supposed to be go purchase fabric. So all of that scheduling went out the window. And on Saturday, I was so stir crazy. I was so bored. Horrible. Just sitting up straight, shoulders back, keeping my head back, right? Just focusing on that was driving me nuts. We watched a few things. You know, we binge watched some Sherlock. And I love Sherlock. But I was bored. Sean looked at me and he's like, you want to go on a light rail adventure? And I said, yes. So, walking, I kept good posture. I had a very light backpack on, very light. I only had my stars in it because I needed to go to the post office. And I wanted to do a purchase. And Sean needed to go to work. So, my favorite post office is across the street from Sean's work. So, I was cool with that idea. I was like, yes, all the birds. One stone, one trip. So on the way home, we stopped by Soto, and I went to my fabric store with the intention of a bright blue, which is my partner's favorite, grays and black, and then a crisp background fabric, and then some fun colors that go with that bright blue. So this is the bright blue. It's a batik. So I don't have to, focus on which is the right side and the wrong side. That's going to be the lining of the bag. Another piece of bright blue. Turns out she likes pink. Not baby pink, so that's good, but a bright pink. And then I found a gray and a black that were really good contrasts. And then these guys. There's a yellow, a bright green. I've used this bright green before. I have some more of it in my stash. So, yeah, I'm really excited. So this is going to be like, and then background fabric. Oh, and you can definitely see it. That it's kind of got lines of gray in it. So I'm very, very stoked. I don't think she watches. If you're watching, you should probably ignore this section because I'm going to talk about the bag that I'm going to make, and I've got to tell somebody. So I'm going to tell everybody. So I have been scouring the internet. She was very late with putting up her mosaic, but she had a lot of projects on her page, and I could look at old mosaics of things that she liked for other swaps she did. And she was participating in the little things swap. So scouring pages. I haven't figured out how you can see what somebody likes, right? Is there a section on Instagram that you can look up things that they've thumbed up? Haven't found it yet, but I was going through things. I picked something from, originally I picked Tartan Kiwi has a line of paper pieced stuff. That's awesome. A lot of it's animals, but I found one on the theme of rain that I was running with, right? And this was before she put out a mosaic. I was getting really excited. Like, I was in that space where I was getting excited and I was planning. I was in my planning phase, and I waiting to see what her mosaic was going to be. The day it was due, she posted it. Everybody was done. I had been done for a week with my mosaic. I'm like waiting and waiting. And I got deflated waiting to see what this mosaic was. But I got on an idea and I thought, okay, I'm just going to plan around this idea. When her mosaic came out, she really didn't give much information. She showed stuff that she had finished. And so I could kind of go off the blue. Like, this blue was in lots of things. So I said, okay, I knew the blue was going to happen. This kind of helps me pick fabric. The Tartan Kiwi pattern that I was looking at was a girl with an umbrella, and she had galoshes on even. It was super cute. But then I thought, well, it kind of comes off kind of feminine, and she doesn't come across as very feminine to me in all her posts on Instagram. So I was thinking, and she doesn't really use people or figures in a lot of her knitting. She likes unicorns and rain and dogs, and I was like, okay, I'm going on the rain theme still, but okay, maybe I'll take a step away from a figure with an umbrella, right? Okay, so I'm looking, and I find this thing called Make Modern Magazine. Maybe it's Modern Make Magazine. It's up. You guys see it. And there was something made by Quiet Play, which is someone as like thorough on crafty for paper piecing, so I've seen all her stuff before. But I'd never seen this one before. It was a cloud with raindrops below, and the original didn't catch my eye at all, mostly because it was on a bright blue background, and it was a white cloud with a couple like rainbow colored drops. Well, somebody else had made one, and I found one on Instagram by, I think it's So Foxy or something to that effect. Anyway, I saw hers, and then I saw one of my friends, happened to be my partner, also liked it, right? You know how it starts off with who posted it and then how many likes, and it lists like 4 people before it says these 4 people and 19 others liked this. Well, her name was in one of the first 4. And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna look at the comments. Maybe she said something. She in fact did. I think she's commented a couple times on this particular thing, saying she loved it, 1, and 2, she wants to make it for herself. That's better than a mosaic. That's way better than a mosaic, right? So I have decided to make that in the colors she likes. And that cloud, that was a cloud on a white background with a black cloud. And then it had like pinks and greens, raindrops. So I'm going to stay with the blues and the pinks for the raindrops. And then inner lining blue. And I guess the strap will probably be blue. And I'm thinking about that because I feel like I could make the strap kind of disappear in the cloud. Like if I make it the same fabric as the cloud. I don't know. Haven't decided that part. But then I kind of want to call to the lining in the bag. So we'll see. But that's the start of goodness. And then the little extra, I haven't decided on. Well, I've kind of decided on it. It's going to have some words because she loves words. And I found a font that I really like in foundation paper piecing. And I'm really looking forward to that, but I haven't decided what words I want to put on it. So I'll either make something with words or I'll make a tiny little pouch that's a cloud. So that's my thing. Well, so I'm at Fabric Pull, right? Good timing. Fabric Pull is due by the 5th. I posted mine 2 days ago, so I'm good. I'm ahead of schedule, doing great. My partner's done. Not only is my partner done, it arrived this last week. Okay, this is a September make, and we ship it out in October. She was done before September. Unbelievable. So I don't know if you remember, but I kind of announced this swap in time for other people to sign up in our group if they wanted to. Well, Kim signed up. And it turns out Kim was my partner. And she made the most amazing bag. These are folded pieces. Every single one of these colors is folded and then sewn down, right? So each one of these things had to be sewn down individually. Huge amounts of measurements are necessary for this. This is the Amish folded star. If you've never seen this technique before, please look it up. It is amazing. I've seen ornaments made out of it, pot holders made out of it, now a bag made with the motif. And not only did she do that, and added sparkle. Do you see the sparkle in that gray? Is that fantastic? And then the contrasting, this is where I would have the contrasting in the cloud, right? For the liner, right? Isn't that liner fantastic? It's all so-tastic. Love it. But she made a second one on the back. I know. I'm telling you, unbelievable. And notice no pink, because she knows me so well. And all that purple on that one. Oh, I love it so much. I love the texture, and I love, that looks like wood grain in the gray. It's amazing. So this is a Whop It bucket. This is what we're swapping. Everybody makes one of these, and then you make a little make for your partner. So in my mosaic, I let her know about a couple things that I kind of really wanted that were small. This, or this, or this, right? So she could pick from a variety of things and just run with one. She ran with all of them. I'm sure we're going to get in trouble for this. But I love it. So the first thing I asked for was luggage tags, right? Because I have an Orca pass, and every time I put it in the front pocket of my backpack, it gets corrupted. So then the next time I go to use it, it doesn't read. And then I have to wait for the 4 business days at the end of the month and the 4 business days at the start of the month that you can go and talk to a real person at a kiosk downtown. Yeah. My card is still corrupted because we went on a Saturday instead of a Friday because my back was not letting me do anything on Friday. Just be bored on a couch. And frozen. Because remember icing. But yeah, she made a luggage tag. I can slip my card in there. And this one has a really long strap on it. Isn't that great? So now I can put it on 2 different bags, and then I can just switch out, where I put my pass, depending on which bag I have. I'll show you the second one in a second. It's already on my backpack. I've already used it. It's good to go. She made a holder for my Wonder Clips. Have you guys used these? I know people say you should use them for binding, but they're really great for putting 2 pieces of foundation paper piecing. and seaming those two together, these hold on really nice. So I use them all the time. And she added to my collection. So there's a pink one and a blue one. And these are just little flaps, right? That you could just set your binder clip on. It's like a pin cushion for binder clips. It's brilliant. An orange and a blue and a yellow and a purple one. And then it's all striped. So this is all scrappy. Scrappy, happy goodness right there. Isn't that awesome? So yeah, that's a new tool. And then not only did she do the Amish folded star, another hard technique called cathedral windows. Have you seen those? Isn't that gorgeous? I love all the polka dots. There's more polka dots on the back. And she put steel wool in there so it'll sharpen my pins when I put them in there. And look at that rainbow-tastic scrappy action. Oh, I love it. And there's sparkle in that gray. I'm wondering if that's the same gray that's in my bag. Everything's matchy. Not matchy-matchy, but everything kind of coordinates, which is awesome. So let me go get my backpack so you can see the last one that she made me. This is the one I was super specific about. This is the one I really, really, really wanted. And she made it for me. I love it. So it's got a strap so I could put it on my backpack. And Sean was really, really stoked that I could wear it on the front of me so things don't get ripped off. Okay. Seattle's a very safe town. I don't worry about these things. Sean worries about them. Because he grew up in New York and roaming the streets of New York City when he was a child. And before Giuliani, is that how you say his name? Giuliani was in charge. So the rough days of New York City, he was there. Not saying it's not still rough, because I'm sure there's areas that are still rough. But yeah, he's determined that I should have all my things in the front so that it doesn't get ripped off. But yeah. Got my little orca pass in there. And the flap closes. Right? It's fed through the front so that it closes up. And it's just a nice little folded action. Yeah, and I don't have to take the card out of the holder in order to swipe it. Yay. So I am super stoked. Kim, you did above and beyond. Honestly. I really hope you don't get scolded for making more than one thing, because we're only supposed to be making one thing in this swap, but it was so lovely a package to open. I came home from the chiropractor appointment being heavily scolded and put to bed rest, and I got to come home to that box, and it was glorious. It lifted my spirits, and it got me so excited about this swap and motivated to go out and get some fabric and get going on this whole thing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I cherish every little thing in there. And last thing, can't even show it to you because there's so much of it. The other thing we send to our partner is a fat quarter that is all about us, right? So the bag is all about your partner, and then you send a little something of you in a fat quarter. She sent me a load of scraps instead of just one single fat quarter. They're so lovely, so lovely. I'm so excited because that is up my alley, right? Even though this is you sending you to your other person, well, I love scraps. And I love foundation paper piecing. And foundation paper piecing is my jam. I have a really hard time cutting into big pieces of fabric. So I am so glad she sent me scraps, because now I don't have to even think about it. I can just use it. Go right to the sewing machine and do the thing. So I am so stoked with this swap. I had no idea that we get paired together. And the moderators probably weren't even thinking about that either, because Kim is from Kentucky and I'm from Washington and we're besties. So no clue, and I'm so stoked that you got me, Kim. And I hope that your partner does something fabulous, because that's going to be really hard to top. Your bag is going to be impossible to top. If you don't win, is going to be crazy because that's intense. You did a beautiful bag. You spent hours on that thing. It's beautiful. Thank you. I'm hoping that I expressed enough thank you because it's beautiful and you made my day. I really needed a pick-me-up after coming home from that adjustment. So thank you. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining on my crafts. And I hope you got some knitting done while I was jabbering at you from the couch. Until we knit again, guys. Bye.